Alright guys, so I've been talking a lot over the last few days about flutes and making flutes, skills workshops with the duders at work and all that stuff. And I figured it might be fun today just to show you how to make a flute, just in case you ever want to do that. So this will be kind of like another tutorial type vlog, I guess. First things first is that I'm at work right now and I'm driving out into the woods. Good news is once I get out there, there's gonna be a lull in my day. I'm gonna have some downtime, probably just enough to show you guys how to make a flute. So if you want to learn how to make a flute, then listen up, take notes, do whatever you gotta do, and we'll show you how to do it. All right, getting ready to make a flute. I guess you don't need a GoPro, and you don't need a flute already because you're gonna make one. So you need a piece of Carizzo cane, okay? Now, Carizzo cane is like bamboo, so if you were to like find bamboo somewhere, even like purchase at a store or whatever, you'd be able to use it. All you need with it is, so there's these sections, right? And you can't, like there's a wall in this right here, so it's hollow here, and then there's a wall here. You need one full section, and then you need a partial section, because you need a breathing chamber and then you need a resonance chamber. Okay, so you need a piece of Carizzo cane, you need a knife, and then I'm going to use a saw, and then I'm going to use a little carving knife. Okay, now I've already cut this piece of Carizzo cane down to the size that we need approximately. It's pretty much ready to start carving on it. Step number one, rotate the piece of cane or bamboo in your hands till you find the most level plane along this wall, channel break here. So I like this section here, looks pretty good. So now you're gonna take your knife and you're gonna carve a section away, making it nice and flat. It's going to go about 1 inch on each side of this channel break. And it only has to be about 1/2 inch wide, this flat space. Okay, there you go, nice flat space, okay, about 1/2 inch wide. It goes from about 1 inch above to 1 inch below the channel break, okay? Now we need a hole, so right now, I can blow on this as hard as I want, no air is gonna go anywhere because there's this wall here, the wall we need so we don't cut it out. But we wanna make a hole, being really careful not to punch the knife through the piece of wood and into the hand. Easiest way to do this safely is to lay the back of the knife into the palm of your hand. Thumb on one side of the blade, fingertips on the other side of the blade, gives you a lot of control, and if you slip, then you know you have less potential to stab this all the way through your hand as opposed to doing it this way. Just a little thought, you know, always trying to look out for you guys. So now we have a hole carved on the breathing chamber side of that channel, the shorter side, okay? It's really important that this hole is on the shorter end of your flute. But now you breathe through, the air has somewhere to go. You should be able to plug this with your finger and block all the airflow, okay? So next thing you need to do is the air needs to get cut somehow. So just like taking this and blowing across it like this, that makes noise because we're cutting the air. So now we need a hole to be able to cut the air right here, okay? So we're gonna draw ourselves, it's gonna be a rectangle shaped hole. Well, don't worry, I'll show you in a second. So right now all I'm doing is drawing lines with my knife. Okay, so I have a little rectangle shaped outline right there. Now the easiest way to do this is just to punch the knife in and pry up inside those lines, breaking out everything in your lines. If you were never very good at coloring inside the lines, this probably isn't gonna work out. Okay, so here's the next step, and this is the most important step. If you don't do this step right, then you end up with a stick instead of a flute. Okay, so you have this hole here in your breathing chamber, and then you have this rectangle shaped hole on your resonance chamber, your sound chamber. The edge opposite of the breathing chamber, so this edge right here, you want to carve this so that it goes down at a 45-degree angle, so the top is still going to be flat. Okay, the top is still going to be flat, but the bottom side we want to go down at a 45-degree angle. So we're going to put the knife inside there, and carve it down at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so now that sharp edge is going to be able to cut the air, making the sounds of the flute. Cool, very. Okay, moving on. Now we need to make holes along it, right? Finger holes. Okay, so you're going to put 3 fingers between this is called the thipple. This cutting edge is called the thipple. You're going to put 3 fingers between the thipple and the first hole. So right there, I'm going to make a mark. See my little mark? Okay, and then I'm going to do a thumb nail between each hole after that. So mark, 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 and I'm going to do this 6 times. Mark and mark 6 times. I don't know if you can see my little hatch marks. They're there. Okay, so now we're going to drill ourselves some holes. Be careful, people. Don't be stupid. Okay, that's about the size that you want your hole. Not too big, not too small, but just right. The diameter on that, I don't know. Maybe the diameter of like a Bic pen, like a writing pen. Just the little guys, the Bic ones. 6 holes. Bam, done. So awesome that it's not even funny. Okay. Flute. Ah. Okay, next step is that we need a piece of wood. It's called a birdie or a fetish that's going to direct the air from this hole where all the air just goes right now, and directs it over this cutting edge so that it can be cut. Okay, so the easiest thing to use is just a little piece of the cane. Okay, so this is just a piece like this, so I cut it like that, and then you just cut it along. You cut it that long, that's it. That's it. Okay, so you're gonna take this piece and you're gonna set it so that it covers this hole and it goes right up to the edge of your cutting edge hole or your thipple. Okay, so now I'm gonna tie this on here. This is just a piece of the outside of a piece of parachute cord, okay, the 550 cord. you just cut it off and then you pull all the insides out so that it can be nice and flat, so that it can lay really flat on here. So now that's tied on there. Okay, so now there's a little bit of tuning involved, okay? These notes are a little too close together, okay? So if the notes are too close together, that means that there's not a big enough difference between the length of the flute with one hole covered versus that hole open, okay? In essence, these holes shorten the resonance chamber. As you pick up your fingers, okay, so when you're holding just these two, instead of the flute being this long, the flute's this long, okay? And the bigger those holes are, the more difference that makes. So right now there's not enough variation between all of these notes, so I need to make all these holes a little bit bigger. Now I'm doing I'm tuning it, I'm just tuning this flute to itself, okay? Basically, back in the day, the Native Americans didn't have all like the modern ways of measurement that we have nowadays, and they didn't have modern scales and notes and keys and things like that we have nowadays. So instead, what they would do is they would use the measurements of their body, okay? So we used that here, three fingers and then a thumbnail between each. So now you might say, hey, my fingers are a lot bigger than yours or smaller than yours. How is this going to work if I were to make it? You would be making your flute based on your measurements and then tuning it to itself. Cool thing about that is that everybody's flutes are tuned differently because their bodies are different sizes, okay? So the way that this flute is tuned, it's tuned to my body measurements. So a neat piece of Native American folklore for you is when you gifted a flute away, you were like giving a part of yourself to that person. It took a lot, and basically you were showing them how much you care about them and how much you trust them, because they had now the ability to play your song, and they could play that for good or for bad. I think I talked about this yesterday. So they're tuned to your measurements, which is pretty cool. And then you just tune it to itself. You know, if there's not enough variation between the notes, you bore it out. Now you can always go bigger, but you can't go smaller, so you got to be careful and go a little bit at a time. Still just a touch more needs to go off there. Just a little bit. Now the tuning part definitely takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of time to figure out. So if you try this and try and make a flute, don't freak out if you can't get it tuned right. Hey, there we go, friends. We have a flute, okay? And it's tuned up and ready to be played. And I want you to note, I'm gonna look at my timer here. So this camera has been recording continuously since the time that I showed you the things that you need to make a flute. And this says 23 minutes and 14 seconds. So full-on flute after 24 minutes, including a bunch of talk time. Not too shabby. There you have it, flute. Now I'll play you one of the songs that I get most requested at work. Song of the Shire. Oh, the Song of the Shire, Mr. Frodo. So there you have it. I won't bore you by playing a bunch of songs out of it. But last thing that I will say is that sometimes if you have a lot of space after the last hole, then the second octave, where you cover all the holes and overblow again, or cover all the holes again and overblow, if that second octave note is too low, then that's because this flute's too long. I didn't have to cut this one off at all because I did all my tuning in the holes, but you can, so if it's too low, then cut it off after you're done tuning all your holes. Cut it off and that'll make that second octave note higher. Okay, cool. Last thing I'll do is run the scale for you. There you have it. Native American flute. This would commonly be referred to as a plains flute. I'll also tell you that you could do whatever you want with this breathing chamber. You can make it as short as you want or as long as you want. Or you can like add decorative mouthpieces or do whatever you want playing around with it. Oh yeah. Sweet guys, well that just about wraps it up for this tutorial vlog on flute making. Check out my other videos and stuff to see other things that I've worked on recently, and also put down in the comments anything that you'd like to see in the future. Any type of hard skills, braidings, leather work, Native American skills, anything like that. Let me know and I'll make a video on it in the future. I appreciate you guys tuning in today. If you thought that this video was cool at all or it helped you out, please give me a thumbs up. That helps me out. And on top of that, if you really want to help me out, share this video with your friends that might think that it's cool too, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on anything cool in the future. Okay guys, I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out. Make it a great day.